I am Irva, and today I have a special guest with us, Dr. Arlette Herry. She's from Grenada, and she's going to tell us about what she does. So tell us about yourself, Dr. Herry.
Well, hello, everyone. Thanks, Irva, for having me. I am a health psychologist. I work at St. George's University in Grenada. And a lot of people typically ask, well, can you read my mind? No. As a health psychologist, what we do is use the knowledge of psychology and health to promote physical and mental well-being.
Oh, thank you. So just to put it out there, you're not psychoanalyzing me at this moment or throughout the conversation?
No, not at all. One, you're not paying me enough to do that. And two, that is not what I do.
Perfect. Okay. So you're a health psychologist. And I guess today we're here with you. And thank you so much for doing this for us. It is a women empowerment YouTube channel, but it is about Grenada. We're just going to focus a little bit on Grenada, but still using women empowerment. And now we're going to empower everyone, which is what we try to do here. Before we proceed, though, this song popped in my mind, and you probably know it. It's and anybody out there who knows it, please, you can hum along. I'm going to say that I wouldn't sing. It's Grenada, the island of spice that has everything in it that's nice. And when you think of beauty spots, Grenada really has a lot. So I'll skip. We are happy, peaceful, and nice people, beautiful and healthy in everywhere with a warm sunshine every day. And I only brought up this song, Dr. Herry, because I feel lately, I have Grenadian friends. With the pandemic in general, the world is in disarray and people's mental health, and everybody seems to be losing their smile. And Grenadians had this for a while, and it feels lately like the smile is gone and the sunshine is gone. So that's what you're going to do today to help us, bring us through, walk us through, help us through this process. Okay, so
looking forward to that, and to kind of talk about that. The warm sunshine is still there. I think many of us forget. We focus so much on what's happening globally and in the country as well. I think we forget that there are many things that we can control, and that's one of the things that I want to address today. Is maybe just focusing on what you can control, and we'll get to that. A couple of things that came up just in talking to you and talking with other people. There are people out there who do not acknowledge that this is happening, right? That either COVID is real, or maybe they even have COVID. And we kind of think, well, how can somebody be in denial at this point? I mean, when we think of a denial is a really good short-term coping mechanism, right? It gives you time to adjust.
So it's not all bad.
So it's not all bad.
Okay.
Right? It gives you time to adjust. The problem is when it becomes a long-term coping mechanism, because then it keeps you from addressing the situation, right? So take, for example, persons who are not accepting that they have COVID. Well, that means that they're probably not doing what they're supposed to do in terms of a public health protocol. So it means they're not self-isolating. They're probably still sharing food and clothes and everything with the persons in their house. They're not sanitizing. So being in denial is keeping them from doing what they should do. Okay. Others also may be in denial because there's a fear of being stigmatized. And let's face it, so there is a stigma now that's associated with COVID. And when we think about what stigma is discrimination against group of people or place or country, right? And it's associated really, when we think about stigma associated with COVID, it's really associated with a lack of knowledge about how COVID-19 spreads. Okay, and so it's associated with that need to blame someone, right? But it's also associated with the fear that comes with this disease. And because I think so many people they're so looped on to all of the myths that are out there, and spreading rumors and stuff like that, that is also creating that vicious cycle of stigma.
So you said a few things. So you talked about self-isolation, you talked about the stigma and the fear that comes with it. How do you, because yes, talking to a few people like I've known now, I've had voice notes from people. and I can tell they have COVID, just how they sound based on the description, and you can hear their breathing's labeled, but few would like to believe that they have it. So, and I know Grenada is small and it's a very close-knit place. How do you get people to get over the stigma? And I was telling one person, and I can only use here because I've been here a while. I remember recently I wasn't feeling the greatest. I didn't believe it was COVID, but we have the mindset here that you test, right? If you're really not unsure. But because I was about to travel, I knew I had to test anyways. So I met my girlfriend and I said, listen, I don't feel well. Keep your mask on. We stay a distance. And for us, it becomes kind of second nature. Nobody's looking at me anyway. It is what it is. But I think if I look at it like I'm protecting her and vice versa. So how do we address that in Grenada to make everybody know the stigma is gone? The world is experiencing this, but we want to protect each other. So how do we get over this?
And really, your strategy was perfect. Tell someone you trust, right? We all have this somebody in our life that we tell our deepest and darkest secrets to. So if you're afraid to tell maybe even your family, tell that person that you trust. But what you can also do, or you can call the hotline, and I'll get that number before we end.
Yes, please, yes.
Right? You can call the hotline and they can send someone out to test as well. And they're also testing, they're testing and vaccination clinics every weekend. You can go get tested. And what I've found with these clinics is that people are now recognizing the importance of coming to get tested. Obviously, we don't want people with active symptoms coming out to get tested. We can call the hotline and let the health professionals come to you.
Okay, so you said, so I don't know if you want that. You sound like you're involved. Are you involved in the process?
I am volunteering, yes. I do volunteer on the weekends.
Okay, so, and now that you mentioned that, because you're volunteering and you're saying though a lot of people are not receptive to that, but I know, and I don't know if you find that still, where people, I've heard stories where people were afraid to have people come to their homes to test them because they didn't want the neighbor think they had COVID, or they'll say, stay in the road, or don't put on the clothes until you come inside. Is that getting better? Do you find people are more educated now? It's okay?
It is getting better. And I think because the reality is what it is at this point, there's so much time that you can stay in denial. I think we are recognizing that this is a problem here. So I think people are less and less, wary of having someone come out and test.
Okay, so thank you for that. So I just, as you said, talk to someone. You're going to provide us with a phone number for the hotline. I've had, and I'm just putting it out there, I released a video a few weeks ago on COVID, and I've had a stranger reach out to me, and we're like buddies now. So, I'm not saying everybody reach out to me, but find somebody that you can trust and reach out. But at this point, we want to make everybody aware the world is going through this. This is not leprosy. This is not in the days when, it is what it is. Reach out if you need to. And you mentioned the hotline, and I'll address that because I've heard stories, we've called the hotline, no one's answering. What is the purpose of the hotline? Tell us, if you can tell everyone out there.
So the purpose of the hotline, for example, persons having active symptoms, is to let the health professionals know that I'm experiencing these symptoms. What do I need to do? Okay. Right. And they can direct you either, and again, depending on what your symptoms are, they can direct you accordingly. Okay. But yes, because we have, again, so many people calling, you may have maybe a long wait time, or you may get a busy phone. You can also call your local medical station. Okay, perfect. Right. And that's one of the things that I think we're proud about in Grenada, that every community has a local medical station. Okay. Okay. So thanks for that. Yeah. So thank you. And you're saying reach out, and the COVID hotline is if you're having symptoms. So it's not, and clarify this if I'm wrong, it's not for you to call in the middle of you already test positive to say, what shall I do today? What medication should I take? Where, it's to call. One of the good things that have been put in place as well is that once you've been tested, you tested positive, you would get a protocol, right? You would get all of the things that you should be doing: self-isolating, not sharing utensils and clothes and etc. with your household, trying to be in a room by yourself, trying to use a bathroom. If there's separate bathrooms, absolutely use a separate bathroom. If you're sharing a bathroom, sanitizing after you've used it. So we've been giving people, public health officials have been giving people the protocol once they've tested positive, and letting them know, obviously, in terms of being self-isolated for 14 days and then being retested.
So we talked about the isolation and the quarantine period. How do you give us some tips that we can help people who are now quarantining or have to quarantine for 14 days? Some are probably alone or in their rooms alone, or how do we can you give us some tips, some coping strategies of things that we can do, or just to help us to stay mentally healthy?
Absolutely. You know, when we think of isolation, you know, we're social beings, right? And we thrive on being socially connected. So even when we use the term, I don't like to use the term social distancing. I prefer to use the term physical distancing, but staying socially connected.
Yes.
And so the great thing about the time that we're living in is that we can stay socially connected and still self-isolate. Right? You have WhatsApp, you have Facebook, you have all of the other social media avenues out there to keep connected with friends and family. And it's important to do that. Something else to consider, we did a study recently, and we're just now doing the analysis and looking at spiritual coping among Grenadians, especially when we had lockdown. And the preliminary findings, what we're already finding is that people drew on their spirituality, right? And it's important to do that. So you being in self-isolation, whatever your spiritual routine is, whoever your higher power is, draw on that. One of the things that Grenadians pride themselves on,
yes,
is being a spiritual people. So draw on that. And like I said, reach out to family and friends. Have a WhatsApp or a Zoom date, right? Connect, share recipes, just do things. I think one of the things, as horrible as COVID has been and is, one of the things it allowed us to do was to, well, at least in my case, friendships that have kind of, you know, the people you only kind of speak to once a year, we were able to reconnect again. We had a family reunion on Zoom because, again, nobody had to be trying to figure out, okay, when can I get time off work to fly to Grenada, right?
Yes, that's true.
We were able to do that. So capitalize on that. You may have a great recipe that, you know, your grandmother or your grandaunt had when you were growing up. This is a good time to get that recipe while you're self-isolating. Absolutely. And if you're self-isolating, obviously, if you're having active symptoms, rest. You know, how many of us, sometimes we really wish we can, you know, get the time to rest.
To take a rest.
Let the body, give the body time to rest. But I also want to address, in terms of not just the people who are self-isolating to COVID, but the times when we're in lockdown periods, right? Because we try to minimize movement with large groups of people.
Yeah.
And sometimes the working from home, I find that people, they figure, okay, I'm working from home, but I'm home. So let me do a load of laundry. Let me, you know, get something done, clean the house. That adds feelings of being overwhelmed. Because basically what you're trying to do, you're working from home, which is already a work day. And now you're adding the housework that you would say on the weekends to that. And we wonder why at the end of that week, we feel absolutely exhausted. It's because we took on a lot more than we should.
Wow.
So one of the things to think about is create a routine, right? Create a schedule similar to what you've done before. So if it meant you used to get up 6 in the morning, make breakfast for you and the family, you do that. Get ready for work. You sit in your house wherever work is that day.
Yes.
And you go to work. I know some people are also managing having kids at home. So
yes,
school on Zoom, right?
Yes.
So try to manage that, but don't try to add, say, okay, because I'm home, try to add some of those household chores in.
Wow.
Create that fatigue.
You know what? Thank you for that a lot, because yes, I work from home too. And exactly what you said not to do is exactly what I did. Because especially for people, I've worked from home for years, but now I've worked from home. I'm working from home every day. And you kind of see it like an opportunity to catch up on all the other things. And then I'm exhausted at my desk. And then I find myself working very late every day, which I'm getting burnt out. So thank you. Thank you so much for that. So it's not an opportunity for you to add more stress to your work days. Treat it as your work day schedule and let life flow naturally. You said something else also about when you're isolated, because I'm just going to come back to the isolation part. How do you, isolating in your room, for example, how do you deal with being alone? Because you mentioned we're social beings, and I know Grenadians, because I'm one, we're very friendly and out there, and suddenly it feels like the system took this back from us. No, I gotta be inside. No, I can't go out on the weekend. So we'll first address when you're isolating because you're quarantining or whatever. How do you deal with the voices? Because the negative thoughts, because some probably do come up. How can we deal with that? I had a person reach out, say they're afraid to sleep, So what's some tip we can give if you have to isolate or you have to quarantine and be by yourself? How do we deal with those thoughts that could come up?
Okay, so think about things that you typically would do when you feel stressed. We all have really great stress management strategies that we use in our life, but somehow during COVID, we think that this is so different. It really is. It is a stressor. It is a significant stressor. So pull on the things you used to do before. Whenever, think about the times when I feel stressed, what do I typically do? For many of us, we put on the music that brings us joy.
Yes.
Right? I'm a reggae fan. So that's my go-to music, right? Some reggae, some jazz, and you listen to that. And I'm gonna pull on the spirituality bit again. When you're going through something hard in your life and you try to tap into that higher power, do that. And again, as I said, connect on social media. You have WhatsApp. All of us have someone in our life that tells all the jokes, right? You call that person up and you say, look, this is difficult for me. Let's talk. Tell me a joke, man. Just,
Yeah.
and I want to say this some of us are afraid of asking for help because we don't want anyone to know that we go through this and we're feeling vulnerable and we're afraid. Reach out, right? Even though it may not, if you don't want to reach out to a friend or a family member, the psychosocial unit at Ministry of Social Development is also there. So you can also reach out for a counselor, but ask for help. But like I said, I think many of us have this one person in our life or go-to person. And it may not even be somebody local, it may be a friend we have. There you
abroad.
go.
Exactly.
Abroad. That you just reach out and you say, girl, I need to talk. Let's reminisce about high school days. Remember when we used to be picking mango after school?
Yes.
Let's just reminisce, just having those connections. And one of the things you also want to be mindful of is to avoid self-medication. Avoid self-medicating, because what we tend to do sometimes, again, using not so healthy ways of stress management, is that we turn to substance, right?
Yes.
And that's one of the things you don't want to do, because at this point, you're really trying to get your immune system back on track. So it's getting your sleep, lots of fluids.
Yeah.
And when you can, start getting that exercise back in, whether it's just doing steps in your room, doing some push-ups. You're able to, and once you're able to then to go back on the outside, incorporating that routines of exercise, whether it's you're jogging on the beach or going to the going to take a bath. We all have the things that we do to keep our immune system.
So you said something, you said get back when you're able to go outside, and that something just popped into my mind. And this person, I hope they're okay with me using this. I remember her saying to me that she's afraid because she felt so, for physical, the medical part of it, she felt so awful physically. She's now afraid when she comes from quarantine to go back outside because she's afraid she contracts this disease again and feel this way. So what do you say to someone like this? How do you get this person to go back and enjoy being outside?
And it's going to be baby steps, right? And remembering, okay, so this happened. It was traumatic. It made me feel horrible. What can I do to make myself feel more in control now that I'm going back out there?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So again, it's wearing your mask.
Yes.
Sanitizing. It's keeping physical distancing. So the things that are within your control, but I do understand the fear. But and again, if it's to a point where she really needs help, then most definitely reach out and talk to a health professional. But it's focusing on the things that I have control over.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
So thanks for that. And it's focusing and you're stressing on the things that you have control over. And you mentioned there is, so because I don't quite know, and you're obviously the knowledgeable person here, is there a health, you said there's a place that people can reach out for mental health counseling and stuff, the Ministry of Health have that service available?
Ministry of Social Development, psychosocial unit, right? So those are two numbers I'm going to get for you before we end. And
okay, perfect. Perfect. So it's the Ministry of Social Development.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to ask you, oh, sorry, before I ask that, I just wanted to say, because you're saying, reach out. For me, and I think last year when we started, because no one thought this was going to be this long, right? This spawned me doing a YouTube, right? I'm sitting there, you know what? Why don't I just do an empowerment for women, right? So I find it brought out creativity that some of us never thought we had, because I didn't have Instagram, none of those social media things with me. I'm still asking my daughter to show me how to do half of these things, Zoom was the only thing I knew because we had meetings by Zoom. So it spawned me being creative. And I'll tell you something, you said you had reunions with friends you hadn't reached out to. My mom uses, I talked to my mom often, didn't see her face often. This lady switches to camera. I'm like, Mom, no, not yet. I'll get a call from Mom. Hi, Mom. She switched to camera. Yes. I'm shocked to be. So I'm saying, yes, you can still stay connected, even if you're physically apart. And I know Grenadians we like to be physically together. Can you? I know, because I was reading a few weeks ago. I think someone sent it to me when when they started the lockdown. They were describing the parameters where you should stay within your yard, and someone was so like, you can't even go out from your yard. So and I'm like, but you could talk across the fence. You could stand here and there. So what I want, and I'm glad that you're stressing that, physical distancing doesn't mean you're socially apart. You can still be doing things using social media, your cell phone, all those stuff like that. But you can still hang out if you're not symptomatic, if you don't have COVID. As you said, the protocols, right? Whatever the protocols are, your mask, your hand sanitizer, and you stay on the next set of the bench, and say hello. You just know we can't hug and kiss like we used to before and high-fiving each other. But it's
and
okay.
No gatherings.
Exactly.
But I'm glad you brought up the creativity part, because when we were in lockdown last year, I got on the weekends, I got to try all of these great recipes that I've been wanting to try for a while and didn't quite find the time. So, and I think in speaking with other persons, I remember one person telling me, she said, right now I'm eating all the vegetables I grew during lockdown, because she created a garden. She said, I never knew I could grow anything, right? Some people learned to crochet. Some people did scrapbooking. We have to remind ourselves how resilient we are and how we're able to adapt. One of the things I want to bring up is, and I know we talked about using social media as a means to stay socially connected, but I think we also just have to be mindful of when it's important to disconnect from that as well. Just be mindful of who you're reaching out to and what you're reading, because there's so much misinformation out there, and I think that is also taking an emotional toll. Right? For many of us, we're just feeling COVID out, as we put it, right? So, you stay informed, but you don't have to obsessively check the news. You don't have to read every minute, every hour, every day, how many persons died, how many persons are in the hospital, right? Choose reputable sources for your information, WHO, the CDC, your local government public health officials. But again, I'm going to always go back to focus on the things that you can control. Right?
Thank
so
you.
You may not be able to, you can't, right, control the severity of the outbreak per se, but you can take steps to reduce your own personal risk. And by doing that, you are also reducing the risk that you will unknowingly spread to others, right? So the washing of your hands frequently with soap and water or using hand sanitizer, wearing your mask, avoid touching your face, staying home as much as possible, except for essential errands, avoiding crowds and gatherings, keeping that 6 feet physical distancing, and getting plenty of sleep. I know a lot of times we ignore the benefits
of sleep. Yes.
To help boost our immune system. Get sleep. Try to eat as healthy as possible. Get some exercise in. Beaches are open from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. So for those people who like the beach, go get your jog in the morning. So I think, again, it's really, it comes back to taking control over what you can control. And I think if all of us do our part, it will make a difference. Get vaccinated. I'm just going to put it out there. Get vaccinated.
Yes. I totally agree.
Yeah, we take it for granted. But let's face it, Grenada had vaccines before so many other developed countries. We forget how blessed we are. Go out there, get vaccinated, because again, that is within your control. That's what's going to prevent you, if you do get COVID, from having severe illness, from being hospitalized, from dying.
Yes.
Right? I mean, I don't know how else to put it, but
it is what it is.
It is what it is. We have the option of AstraZeneca and Pfizer. So you have options. Go out there and get it. And it's free. There's some countries you have to pay for it.
Pay for those things, right? So thank you for saying all the things that we have to do. And I know and to me, we have to, because I know we say the same thing. It is what it is, but it is what it is. The state of the world. So this is not a Grenada issue. This is not a Carriacou issue. This is not a P.T. Martinique issue. This is the world's issue. And you have to do your part. We can't sit there and, oh, well, I missed the party. Everybody missed the party. But if we all do what we need to do, we probably could go to a party one day, but it might be in 2 years. So stop looking at the now. Look at the long-term effect, what your actions would do. And I love that you're stressing the things we can control and the unplugging ourselves from social media, because you're right. My advice, if I had to give some, is honestly, stick to the reputable sources and the people that you know. Stick to what the Ministry of Health is putting out the information out there, getting vaccinated, why you should get vaccinated. Stop flying around those social medias. I get them. Oh my God, I have to stop people. I'm like, don't send me any WhatsApp of which doctor says why you shouldn't get vaccinated. Like, do you know this doctor? Some doctors are vets. Somebody sent me one, the man was a vet. You know what I mean? But you're right. Social media does give us a lot of misinformation. And some of us are really, like, anything that goes out there, we believe it. Do your own research. And it doesn't mean Wikipedia, because that's not, or Google, just randomly Google searching something. Call your doctor, call the professionals, call the Ministry of Health. Well, I know now is not the time because they're inundated doing other things. And, but ask reputable people. That's why I had Dr. Arlette here, I had Dr. Molar Alexis, people who study these things, who study how to help you mentally, how to help you with viruses that can really give us knowledge, not just, all this confusion and contradictions and all these things that's happening. Is there anything else you want to tell us, Dr. Herry?
Just a couple of things. If you forget everything I said today, I want people out there to remember, be kind to yourself. take care of you. So at the end of the day, if you are kind to yourself, that kindness would then spread to others.
I like
And
that.
if you're kind to yourself, what are some things that you're going to do? And I'm not going to give the answer to that. I want people to think about that.
Yeah.
Right? But be kind to yourself. And also, we don't want to forget the people in our communities who are less fortunate than we are. A lot of times when we're going through something, we tend to just focus on the negative. So I have to stay in lockdown. Oh, I have to work from home and I can't do this and I can't go to partying. What about the older person down the street who can't go make groceries? How about when you're on the way to do your groceries, you find out from them, what do they need, right? And you can put it on their doorstep when you get back. So helping others, a lot of times when we focus on just helping someone else in need, it takes away the focus just on all of the negative things that are happening with us. It boosts your spirit. It makes you feel good.
It does. It does.
Yeah. Let me share that the hotline numbers with you.
Sure.
So it's 538-4787 and 458-4787.
And that's area code 473. 473, sorry.
473-538-4787 and 473-458-4787.
Okay, perfect. So the 473-538-5787 is the COVID hotline. If you have
4787.
Okay, so the COVID hotline number is 473
538 4787.
Perfect. Okay, and that's if you think you were exposed, if you have symptoms, you call that number. And we have just a few minutes left, but I want to put it in there. Be kind. I really like that. And you left the answers up to us, right? So I know exactly what I like to do to be kind to myself. Reach out. And you talk also about your spiritual strength. I know, Grenada was hailed as one of the most religious places at some point. So whatever spirituality, whatever you believe in, reach out to use that strength. But I can say also, because I listen to a lot of gospel music, and I find myself one day listening really sad, dreary gospel music. So you're saying it's not those ones, not the ones that would really put you down too. You gotta listen. And I was telling them,
make you,
exactly.
Yes.
So it doesn't mean because you're reaching out to the things, even love songs, not the ones that's gonna make you feel depressed because you're sitting here. Find the ones that have you pumping in the kitchen. You know how happy I am. So, yeah. So yeah. I agree with you on that. And thank you very much for all these tips. Thanks for the work you're doing. Thanks for the phone numbers, guys. Remember the COVID hotline 473-538-4787, and the other number is for the Ministry of Social.
Yes, so I'm going to send that to you, and then you can put it on your on the thing.
Perfect.
That one for you, and so, just let people know also, if they want to volunteer, we have a great group of volunteers out there. If you want to volunteer, there's so many areas that you can volunteer in. You don't have to be going out into the community. But you can support in so many other ways. So you can also call the Ministry of Health to let them know that, hey, I would like to volunteer. Put me to work. Perfect. Let me know what I can do, either from my home or, however that may be.
Perfect. And we're going to wrap up. So thank you very much, Dr. Herry. Thanks for all the great points. I like it. Plug, if you're COVID out, reach out. Be the good neighbor without compromising, and what we're supposed to do. Wear your mask, wash your hands, pick up some groceries. It will put a smile on your face when you drop it off at your neighbor's step, and she's really happier that senior in your community or a person with a disability. I don't know if you have a private practice, but thank you for all the the great tips that we put in there. Thank you for reminding us we're not social. We're not, because we're physically distancing doesn't mean we have to be socially apart. So thank you, and remember to like, remember to subscribe, leave a comment, pass it to a friend, and I'd look forward to doing something with you again.
Great. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you very much.
All right, take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye.